When you think of LA, what do you think about? The beaches, Hollywood, movie stars. If you live here, you're thinking about a lot of traffic and congestion, but what you're probably not thinking about is ducks, geese, and lakes. Surprisingly, LA has a number of lakes in the downtown area. Today, I am at Echo Lake Park. This is one of the oldest parks in LA. This area used to be called Edendale, and where the reservoir is now was just a watershed. Water from the LA River would come, pass through here, and keep going. In 1868, just 3 years after the end of the Civil War, the city of LA decided to build a dam and turn this into a reservoir for drinking water for the citizens. The dam has since been buried, but this is where it was located, at the south end of the lake. In 1891, 4 of the neighbors around here donated a total of 33 acres to the city to build a park around the reservoir. Joseph Henry Tomlinson, who was the superintendent of parks and a landscape architect, was commissioned to design and build this park. Construction began the next year in 1892, and as construction was going on, he kept hearing echoes from the workers, so he dubbed this Echo Park, and the name stuck. Look at all these different kinds of birds. This area attracts migrating birds and just all kinds of waterfowl to it. It's really cool. In the early 1900s, this became the epicenter for the silent film industry. The very first permanent studio for silent films was built just a few blocks from here. Universal and Fox had early studios here, but none of them at the time had the impact of Keystone Studios. Keystone was created by Mack Sennett, and he specialized in slapstick comedy. He did 2 15-minute reels every single week. And some of the things that he is known for, he did the very first movie with Charlie Chaplin. He did the very first pie-in-the-face gag. And he created the Keystone Cops, a crew of bumbling cops who, more often than not, ended up here in the lake. Now, the LA City Council didn't really appreciate that too much, so they actually banned Mack from filming here in Echo Park, and they said it was because they trampled the flowers. Yeah, that was the reason. This is the boathouse. It was built in 1932. Now remember, in 1932, we were still in a depression. In 1933, Franklin Roosevelt started the New Deal, in which he did a number of public works projects, infrastructure, farm, art, all kinds of things to put Americans back to work. And he also created the FDIC to keep people's money safe in the event a bank collapsed again. But this was built in 1932, and it was not with those funds. It was created with unemployment bonds. Definitely money well spent. It's still standing today. And there's a bistro inside if you want to get something to eat or drink. Got the peach lemonade. It is really tasty. And you can rent these swan boats and take a ride around the lake. It's fun, and the boats are easy to navigate. Okay, not for everyone. This statue is called Lady of the Lake. It was created in 1934 with funds from the Public Works of Art project, which was part of Roosevelt's New Deal program. Local artist Ada Mae Sharpless was commissioned to create this, and she used a technique called liquid stone, which is essentially poured concrete. She included in the design reliefs of City Hall, which is still standing by the way, and a Spanish mission, and she wanted this to be the patron saint of, oh my gosh, all the birds are going away. You have to stop for birds, you know. She wanted this to be the patron saint of Los Angeles. The official name of it is Nuestra Reina de los Angeles, which means Our Lady of the Angels. But when it was installed here, people didn't see a patron saint. Instead, they saw the Lady of the Lake, and that has become the unofficial title of this sculpture. During her long life, because she's almost 90 now, she was put in storage for about 20 years. When she came out, they had refurbished her, and the city put her at the opposite end of the park, facing the lake. She was there for a few years, but she eventually found her way back here where she started from. Now, a lot of people were kind of offended when she got put back here that she had her back to the lake. They had only seen her facing the lake. But this is how she was originally installed at this location in this pose, and she is supposed to be welcoming people to the lake. But if you look, she's got her hands up like this, kind of like, don't come any closer. So I'm not exactly sure what inspired this pose or what that means. If I find out, I will let you know. These three geysers were added in 1984 as part of the beautification project before the LA 1984 Olympics. 1984 is when I moved to LA. I will be celebrating 40 years living here next year. That's kind of cool. I was actually a volunteer for the 1984 Olympics. I was a field monitor for the women's marathon. This was the very first time the women's marathon was an Olympic sport, and it was won by American Joan Benoit. And I remember when the group passed by, she was in front by, I don't know, 8 to 10 feet, and then there was a cluster of ladies behind her who were all running together. It looked very strange, but her strategy was she didn't think she would be able to kick a sprint at the end, so she wanted to get out front early and be able to pull away, and she did it and won. That was like a really cool summer. These are the lotus beds. They've been roped off to protect them from boaters like this one. Each July, the city has the Lotus Festival to celebrate the lotus blooms. I had really been looking forward to crossing this bridge. It goes to a tiny island on the other side, but the bridge was closed. All right, these three ducks aren't suspicious at all. It's like they're keeping a lookout for their friend who's doing who knows what in the bushes. The city added these wetlands back into the lake. The wetlands actually remove pollutants from the water. So the water comes in on this side of the lake, debris is removed before the water gets to the wetlands. The wetlands naturally removes pollutants from the water, and then the water heads into the lake. The clean water leaves the lake on the south end and travels to the ocean. All the turtles right here. Over the years, Echo Lake Park has been used in a boatload. Get it? Boatload? I'm sorry. crack myself up. Over the years, Echo Lake Park has been used in a boatload of movies, television shows, commercials. So if you don't recognize it now, I'm sure you will see it sometime this week. Anyway, I hope this helps you find your adventure. Thank you for watching.